Well, that's right. They are the undecideds who political analysts believe make up about 20% of the vote. And the double disapprovers. They are those who don't like either candidate and represent around 14% of the vote. The candidates are expected, though, to focus on the double disapprovers because they're more politically engaged than the undecideds. The early face-off is an appetizer to the main course on Election Day.
Both candidates are going to have to be incredibly careful because they've got many, many months of lead time where these campaigns are going to be able to take pieces of this debate and then use that in campaign communications in the future.
Political analysts believe there are two groups of voters President Biden and Mr. Trump are likely to attempt to speak to, and one will be more difficult than the other to reach. 20% of undecideds are turned off by politics and less likely to watch. And 14% are the so-called double disapprovers, those who don't like either candidate but are more interested in politics and more likely to tune in.
These are people who are going to have a very hard time coming to a decision when it comes time to vote. They're probably not going to be really swayed by the appeals of any of these two particular candidates in the actual debate.
With no live audience, it will make it difficult for the candidates to use emotional stories to generate a reaction that could resonate with the viewing audience. Many expect Mr. Trump to use the Rachel Marin murder case to make a point about Mr. Biden's immigration policy. An undocumented immigrant is charged with the first-degree murder and rape of Marin.
I'm not sure that some of these individual kind of anecdotes are going to be as powerful.
Political analysts expect President Biden to show he has the energy and mental fitness to continue the job. Mr. Trump is expected to present himself as steady.
Yeah, I think that for both candidates, their image, their perception, the voters' perception of their image is important.
Political analysts say more important than the debate itself will be the media and the campaign narratives that follow it. They believe how content and key moments will be framed will influence voters the most. Reporting live from the newsroom, David Collins, WBAL TV 11 News.